Happy New Year to everyone. My name is Paul Ursum, and I'm doing this video from Houston, Texas, where I've lived for the past 30 years. I am married. My wife Denise and I have 4 children, 7 grandchildren, and 1 great-grandchild. I was raised in Pennsylvania and went to secondary school there, but I have an undergraduate degree from Dartmouth College in economics, also an MBA from there. And then I've attended Harvard University doing some continuing studies on increasing our cognitive abilities, especially about delaying the decline of our cognitive abilities with age. And now, at a later time in life, I'm about 2/3 through my Master of Divinity degree. I was raised a Lutheran, and then pretty much by accident, I became a Presbyterian between undergraduate and graduate school because I played soccer and some of our games were on early afternoon on Sundays, and I needed to go to church that had an early service, and the only one that did look close by was Presbyterian. I've been a member of the Presbyterian Church ever since, and I've been in various roles during that time. I've been a deacon, a middle school advisor, a teacher, an elder. I currently am one of the leaders of a very large food pantry where I go to church now. Serves a little bit over 400 families every Saturday, and I'm in charge of the logistics part of that. In terms of my career, I'm about to retire in a couple months from 40 plus years in the world of investments and finance. Excuse me. I did spend 2 years in Washington, D.C. between undergraduate and graduate school in the executive office of the president under President Carter with a group of economists working on reducing the impact or making certain government regulations much more efficient. Has some application today because while we were there, we deregulated a whole bunch of industries, and we actually got rid of the Interstate Commerce Commission, which you probably have never heard of, and that's a good thing. So we'll see what happens under the new administration with regulatory policy. I am, as I said, alumnus of Dartmouth College, and the 2 people I would like to have lunch with, the first one you would know, that would be Mr. Rogers, Fred Rogers, who did not graduate from Dartmouth. He attended a couple of years, and then he went to another school to graduate, but he was always very, very fond of his time there. And he would just be a great person to sit down with, an amazing person. So that was one. The second you wouldn't know, his name's Paul Bacanucci, well known at Dartmouth and in the investment world. He was my mentor. And what really impressed me about Paul was he came from humble beginnings, would not have been able to go to either Dartmouth or then Harvard, where he also has degrees, MBAs and law degrees from Harvard, without scholarships. His family could not afford to send him to school. And he was always so thankful for that, but he returned things always in an anonymous way. People never knew, particularly financially, what he did. It was always anonymous. And I always thought that was biblically the right way to do things, that generosity really is about giving with no thought about getting anything in return. And to me, he exemplified that. But he was my mentor and always moved me along and kept me on a straight path and in a very, very quiet way. And then he died unexpectedly, so I never really got to sit down and say goodbye to him. So I would like to do that. 2 of my favorite books. The first one, you're probably aware of, The Cost of Discipleship by Dietrich Bonhoeffer. The second one that I really enjoy, particularly given my calling, is to deal with homelessness and food insecurity. Tattoos on the Heart by Father Gregory Boyle, who spent so much time working with gangs in the city of Los Angeles. And really the successes of that, but also the tragedy that comes with working with the disadvantaged. So those are my two favorite books that I've ever read. Um, if there's something I'm particular about, excuse me, it's something I would call openness, a willingness to listen to others and explore different things. So if someone's kind of stuck with what they're doing, all the same thing all the time, that would bother me. I seem to have found that openness and willing to at least listen just creates a whole new world, um, and it makes the world and people so interesting. So that's something I really like to do. We've done some of that just with the different ministries I've been involved with, and people I've met in my career, but also I've traveled all over the world. I've been to all the continents except we haven't been to Australia and New Zealand yet. And there are a couple places we'd like to still visit. But in our travels, we've generally not done touristy stuff. We've generally gone out into the country and been with, I'll just say, average people, how they live, what they think about. And it's really been a great thing to do that. My activities or hobbies. I'm very athletic, and we won't really get into that, but a lot of athletic stuff over my life in college, high school, and since then. I also sing. I sing in the church sanctuary choir and have at various churches over the years. Sometimes I guest sing, but I also sing with the Houston Symphony Chorus, which I find very interesting. Get to meet a lot of interesting people and performers with that. Um, I think that's about it for the video. I think I covered everything that you wanted. One other thing, my philosophy. So I was raised Lutheran, and since this is a course on creeds, um, I had to go through catechism in middle school in the Lutheran Church, which was just a thrill, not one of the highlights of my life, because we had to memorize the Nicene Creed, the Apostles' Creed, Lord's Prayer, some other things. But you also had to memorize what the Lutheran Church felt was the meaning of each word and sentence in there. So this course will be interesting for me, kind of review, because my basic philosophy in terms of religion, I'm not very particular about any one denomination having kind of a lock on what the right way to do things is. And so it'll be interesting for me to go through the creeds of the Presbyterian Church. And while I am Presbyterian, our church was one of the founders of ECO many, many years ago, which was really originally designed for large Presbyterian churches. And then years later, it became an avenue for some of the churches to split from PCUSA over different issues that hopefully will go away someday and we can all get back together. But that's it. I'm really looking forward to the course and also hearing and watching some of your videos.